glad you're here.
All right, bud. All right. I knew it would be. I knew you'd like that.
There is. They're kind of right over here in the middle right now. Oh, you see my son with the gray cap on.
I've never done it.
Okay.
I think you deserve it. I think you earned it. I think you earned it.
How are you going about getting the show?
Well, I love you, and I thank you for trusting me to do radio on Revolution Radio. I thank you for trusting me. That sounds good.
Hey, you know.
Hello, Roger.
Water rides. Got a great butter.
Did you get out of school today?
This is more important than
School, right? You're going to learn a lot, I had to, yeah, if I was going to come. He was all about the same time.
This is Cliven. Oh. Larry Clayman, he's one of the attorneys. Hello, Cliven. Good to see you. Some of the boys that come out, tell Bruce, take lots of pictures.
oh, I only brought my son today, just one. School, things. I should be.
Don't worry about it.
How's it going, John?
Okay, well, there you are.
Oh, is it getting started? You live?
I am already. I started.
Might just leave it on your page.
Okay.
Because there's no... Then I can take pictures.
It's been breaking up. Like, we don't have a lot of good service for some reason.
No.
Oh.
I know. Don't we have a mic?
Hi, how are you? It's good to see you.
Shackle free.
Okay, we're starting right now.
Figure this out.
Right.
They're hearing us, aren't they? Hello. Now I can make some noise. I want to thank you for coming this morning. And, you know, I guess it's in order to wish you, thank you, appreciate a new year. And definitely it's a beautiful new day. It's a real special day for me. As I woke up this morning, I looked outside, and the sun was shining, the rain was wet, and the leaves were glittering, and my mind went to how thankful I am to feel to be a free man, and how grateful I am for a Heavenly Father that gave me a so beautiful. And how great and how wonderful it is to live in a land where we have some free speech and be able to exercise our conscience. And today here we're honored to have the media with us. We recognize your First Amendment rights, and we recognize that we all have First Amendment rights. This is one of the things that for some reason the federal government thought they could take away from we the people. Put us in a big pen of red fence and give us two little areas out on the western lands that we can exercise our free speech. That didn't really work out too well, and I thank the American people, thank the media for being here, and recognize that we do have a great land, and we do have a First Amendment, and we do have free speech, and we have a free, to be able to exercise free agency within the press, that they can express their people's feelings. No, this land is a land that's free. We can exercise and do good or bad. We can go right or wrong. We have a constitution that gives us every opportunity. Let me talk about our constitution just a little bit. We have spilled much blood to the founding fathers, those that fought with them, those that fought since, the many generations, Middle East wars, world wars, and those that have fought on this land, that spent their blood and effort, their sweat, their tears. My grandfathers and their wives, their children, came into this country in wagons and out roads. The only thing they had that was the white man had been here at all was some Spanish trails across this country. That was all. My family, more the family company. And they helped carve the roads that we have today. My uncles, my dad, and even myself and my sons have carved these roads and paved them for people today. We have raised you beef. We've raised you melons. We've raised hay and grain and fed the milk cows that you and your children have drunk today and ate. And we have done that as pioneers in this western land. We have worked hard and we have enjoyed our lives and raised a family. Not just family, we've raised family of good people. People with honor, with work ethic. People that would pledge to our flag and bow to our Heavenly Father. This heritage that I have, this heritage that many of you have had, you know, it's a treasure for the world. It's a diamond. And we have the honor now to respect all of these efforts and to come here together to join and to enjoy and celebrate another victory. We had a victory on the Bundy Ranch in 2014, April 12th. There's no doubt that our Heavenly Father did bless us. There's no doubt that we stood for freedom and liberty. We stood for the rights of hard labor. We stood for the sovereignty of the state of Nevada. We stood for statehood. And you know, we stand before the county sheriff's office today. I want to express something. Out of all of the powers in the United States, including all of the powers of Congress, all of the powers of the Supreme Court, and all of the powers of the President of the United States, this man in here that we have nominated and elected as being our county sheriff has the most in the constitutional jurisdiction and authority and policing power more than any man in the world here in Clark County. This is the man that we have elected to protect our life, liberty, and property. We can only honor him and respect him in that position. You know, the last couple of days, I've actually called this man a liar. And this morning I tried to invite myself to come and speak with him in private to decide what we're going to do on Bundy Ranch, what we're going to do in Clark County. Is this man going to stand up and protect our life, liberty, and property? Is this man going to stand up and recognize that he is our authority, that we paid him to be our authority, we have chosen to be our authority? Or is he going to be the policeman and authority and be dictated by the federal government, a foreign government to this county? That is the question that we bring before this office today. The Sheriff Lombardo, are you going to represent we the people, or are you going to represent a federal bureaucracy? One that have brought grabbed 200 armed guns and stuck them down our throats 4 years ago. And you impeded and participated and tried to entrap. Is that what you're going to do tomorrow as sheriff? Is that what you're going to do out on Bundy Ranch? Is come and try to impede, entrap, imprison? I spent 700 days in prison as an innocent man and never did get through a trial. I want to tell the sheriff here today that he's darn lucky that Judge Navarro dismissed that action in that court. We're darn lucky that didn't go on for a couple more days because he would have been exposed. And many others have been exposed. Now I want to say something good again about him. I want to ask him to be our sheriff. I want to ask him to come forward and act like he really is representing the people of Clark County. I want to ask him to be a constitutional sheriff with more power than the President of the United States here in Clark County, with the only policing power. And the only thing I can say is we ask and hope that he takes that position serious. And if he don't, I guess we will replace him one way or the other. Yeah.
Amen.
I want to ask for just one or two questions to give me a little direction where you want to. Media, ask me a question.
Yeah, I got a question.
I'd like to start with it. With this trial being dismissed, even with prejudice, and them not being able to retry you, it didn't bring me any closure to the issue that brought this whole matter to a head anyways. And you've been dealing for this for near 20 years, so we don't have closure here, or there's no settlement, and that brings peace. Peace is by settlement, and that's what the law is.
That's true. We really what we've done is we claim we've won 2 rounds of this war, if we want to call it a war. But what really happens when Judge Navarro basically creates a mistrial is what really happens here is it sets us back 4 years. You know, the court orders are still in place. Our sheriff is still in the same place he is. Our county commissioner's in the same place. Our highway patrol is in the same place. Our governor's in the same place. The district attorney, what about the brand inspector? He's in the same place. I mean, I'm still running the ranch. I'm still trying to raise cattle. I'm still trying to sell cattle on the market. They have court orders still out there. Not only that, they created a Gold Butte monument put it right on top of my ranch. I mean, you know, what do I go home to today? I get out of prison, no guilty sign on me, but I go home, and when I step out of my front yard, I'm breaking some kind of federal law, some federal rule. I step out and I have BLM rangers going up and down the road. I have Park Service rangers going up and down the road. But I understand what they stand for. They stand for 200 armed army out there. I understand what it feels like to have snipers on me, pointing guns at me any time I step out of the house. Is that what I'm going to go home to? Every time I go to work my cattle, I drive out on this national park now, or national monument. Does that mean that I could get shot out there when I get out of my truck? Is that what it means? And look at this guy here. I started asking, is that what it means? LA Times. Let's talk about my enemies just a little bit. If I have any enemies, I'm having trouble just taking this on this button. You know, I look at this world as I don't have any enemies. I love everybody. I want to trust everybody. I want to love everybody. I want to help feed everybody. I want to share my ranch with everybody. I don't only want to share my ranch with everybody, I want to share their own land. The public land belongs to we, the people of Clark County. I want to share that land with them. It's not my land, it's your land. Why can't you guys understand that I protect your land? I protect my rights to the forage and the water and the access to it and the range improvements, but I protect all of your rights. Come out there and fish and hunt and camp and ride your bicycle and enjoy the scenery. You know, I looked out of my bedroom window this morning early, and I could see the moon coming through the clouds. You know, it was so beautiful. I want you people to have that right. I don't want you to be stuck with a backcountry byway where you get to go down the sidewalk for 52 miles and turn around and come back, and if you get off the sidewalk, some ranger's going to give you a ticket, and you're going to end up in this federal courthouse down there trying to explain yourself. That's not called freedom. Freedom is when you come out to Bundy Ranch onto your land, and you can take 600,000 acres and drive around, use the roads and the trails, camp and build fire, and cook a weenie for your little girl or little boy. That's what freedom's all about. That's what Bundy's all about. It's not about Bundy being a big rancher and his cattle run there and nobody else has any rights. I only have a few rights, and I'm going to protect my rights. I hope you're going to protect your rights.
Mr. Bundy, there was a group of environmentalists, conservationists, religious leader as well, had a news conference earlier today, and they talked about fears, about fear. They have fear now that you are out, and they fear for people visiting Gold Butte. Can you answer that, please? I think he just did.
I would like to answer that. You know how I'm going to answer that? Is I'm going to answer it this way. I say that the land in Gold Butte belongs to we, the people of Clark County. And I'll tell you one thing, anybody that comes over that Clark County line into Clark County is our guest. They have no political or voice. They have no vote. And so they are our guests. We love them, we welcome them, but don't let them think they're going to tell us what to do in Clark County on our land.
Woo!
Yeah.
Have you seen any BLM rangers near the ranch or in Pontotoc?
Since when?
Since your release.
No, I really haven't.
Mr. Bundy, Jeff Gillen, Channel 3. So what got you into the whole thing was the grazing fees. What are you going to do with the grazing fees? Do you have any intention of paying them? What will you do with those?
LA Times will have a nice article coming out about that, and you just read that tomorrow.
Well, but give us here in Las Vegas just a little bit. What do you want to do? Are you going to pay them? Are you going to not pay them? What are you going to do?
Well, let me answer it this way. I have a 15-second defense to all of these charges. A 15-second defense. You know, by now Las Vegas should have been able to understand what the 15-second defense is. How many of you understand what my 15-second defense is here? Here. Oh, you got a few of you understand. I'll tell Las Vegas one more time. I graze my cattle only on Clark County, Nevada land, and I have no contract with the federal government. Yeah!
How many reporters do you think understand the Constitution here that are standing there?
Oh, I'm sure all of these reporters understand the Constitution.
What would you do if they come to impound the cattle?
That's the sheriff's problem, not mine.
Mr. Bundy, Maggie Rose McGrath with Revolution Radio. The way your sons were teaching us when we were at the refuge, many of us journalists were there, was that there were three constitutions, the real Constitution and two others they were trying to suck us under. What we understood is what we learned about Constitution is the BLM only had the right to own the District of Columbia 10 by 10 by 10 federal military bases and also shipping export ports. If I was to pay my grazing fees in California or Oregon, I should pay them to my county or to my state, not to the federal government, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's help makes people understand the Constitution. You know, in Article 1, 8 and 17 pretty well explains what the federal government can own. The way I understand it, the federal government can't own any land. Any land. Anybody understand that? They can't own any land, and that's just Article 1, 8 and 17, and they have to purchase that land from the state. And then they only can purchase that land for a couple of reasons. One is for military purposes, and the other would be for other buildings. And that would be something like a post office or a courthouse. And they can purchase that land from the state of Nevada if they would like to have some land with the consent of the legislators and Congress. Now I have a little question to ask you, a very simple question. Why would the Constitution say that the federal government has to purchase land if they own all of this land? Why would the Constitution say you can own land if you purchase it? Why would they say that? And then the other thing, if this land don't belong to the state of Nevada, how could the state of Nevada sell this land to anybody if they don't own it?
Exactly. Right.
I mean, that's something I don't have to take my hat off to, you know, that's a very, yeah, I mean, how could they be a state if they don't, I mean, you know, another thing about the Constitution, they want to say their property clause of Article 4 gives the federal government power. Had anybody read the Constitution in Article 4? First thing I see in Article 4, it says the Congress has power to dispose of the territory. Well, nobody ever admits that anything's been disposed of. It says it has a power to make needful rules and regulations over the territory. Is Nevada a territory?
No.
How long has it been since Nevada was a territory?
1864, October 31st.
Okay.
That's your birthday, ain't it?
Yes, it is. Well,
how long was Nevada a territory of the United States? Who knows that?
Not long.
Yeah, it belonged to Mexico. It became a territory in 1861.
Treaty of
Well, 1848 was the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, but I don't know when the actual territory of Nevada was
It
formed.
was 61, 1861 it became a territory, and then in 1864 it became a state. Now, when this was a territory, of the state of Nevada, the Congress had basically unlimited power to make all rules and regulations. But they disposed of that power. And when they disposed of that power, they lost all of that power. What power did it remain? No power, unless it was under Article 1, 8, and 17 power that they had bought some land. Congress lost all of their legislative power, judicial power. All of it.
Are you going to be suing the federal government for your civil rights being violated in this case?
You know,
So we the people pay the bill?
let me tell you something. I have to make a big decision here. Either I'm going to have to forgive and forget all of those aiders and betters, or I'm going to have to hold them accountable.
Mr. Bundy, have you thought about personally going after these criminals legally for their personal position rather than the government? Going after them on a personal aspect, meaning they conspired to perpetuate theft of your land and they no longer have immunity. Should you consider going after their personal assets?
Well, you know, there's a lot of consideration. And let me talk to you a little bit about who would Bundy be mad at? Let's ask this question. Who would Bundy be mad at?
Sheriff.
Harry Reid.
Okay.
Sheriff.
Harry Reid.
County Commissioner.
Rory Reid.
Roy Reid.
Roy Navarro.
Obama.
Ryan Rutledge.
The county commissioner.
Let me tell you who Bundy would be mad at right off the bat. you know, I would be mad at my Nevada State Brand Inspector. Does that surprise anybody? What did I pay my Nevada State Brand Inspector just like I pay the sheriff in here, but I pay him even more directly. Every time he comes and inspects an animal out of my ranch, I pay the Nevada State Brand Inspector. Why do I pay the Brand Inspector? What is his job to do? What's he supposed to do?
Protect your assets.
He's supposed to protect my cattle. He aids and abets with the federal government to come and steal my cattle. What's the word that the Brand Inspector would have to say to stop all of these problems that we're having today? One word, what would he say?
No.
No.
The Brand Inspector would have said no. That's all. Now, the county sheriff has policing power over Clark County. What would the county sheriff should have said or could have said to stop all of this?
Get out.
No.
No. You just have to say no. What would the county commissioner have to say? What would the governor of the state of Nevada have to say? No. But no, what did they do? They aided and abetted with the federal government to steal my cattle and imprisoned Bundy for 2 years, 700 days. Now I either got to forgive these people or I've got to hold them accountable.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Can you do both?
You can do both.
You know, I'm not sure. I'm considering my options.
What would holding the sheriff accountable mean?
Well, it would mean that tomorrow when I get up in the morning, that I know that the county sheriff would be out there to protect me, my life, liberty, and property. It would mean that when I went to work on my ranch, say dig a post hole to put a post in, or to
Clean a pond
fix
out.
a water line, or to catch a cow, whatever, that I wouldn't need to be afraid that I had an army of violent people that's going to try to shoot me. It would mean that the sheriff is doing his job. It would mean when I call the Brand Inspector to inspect my cow, he would come and inspect and make sure that cow was mine before I was able to sell it or move it. And it would mean that I wouldn't have to worry about him inspecting my cow out to the federal government. That would be what the solution here would be.
But if you feel like he's not doing his job, what are you saying?
I'm not saying I'm just going to do anything. I said I haven't made their mind up whether it's going to do. I would just hope that the sheriff would act like he was a sheriff of Clark County.
Mr.
Mr.
Bundy,
Bundy,
what do you do, Mr. Bundy, if the federal government moves against you again? What will we see? Another standoff? What
Can't wait, can you?
Yes.
Who are you?
Can't wait.
Who are you?
Whatever it takes.
Well, listen,
We'll go back again.
I guess it would be whatever it takes, but you
We'll
know
go back.
the first thing it would take? It would take a call to the county sheriff to come and protect me. And then if the county sheriff did come to protect me, I guess we would sort of go through the same scenario that we've been through.
What do you say to your fellow ranchers out there, Mr. Bundy, who are paying
The last
They're all done.
There is
Keep
none.
up with the story.
They ran
Well,
them all
there's
off.
another county.
to other ranchers who aren't paying grazing fees? What do you say to them?
They're running them off too.
I'm saying that you're I'm saying they're wasting their money and they're paying it to the wrong government.
Mr. Bundy, were you able to speak with Sheriff Lombardo or meet with him, or what happened with your attempt to meet with him?
Well, it was pretty generic, I guess. He didn't talk to me. He sent one of his assistants, and they just said that the sheriff was busy. He had other businesses, and he was too busy to talk to me today. I invited him to come out here to this meeting, and I'm interested if anyone showed up, that'd be great. We'd welcome him. But he was invited to come before you people today. He was invited to meet with me in private before this meeting, so we could. All I can say is the sheriff's too busy today.
Mr. Bundy, are you considering changes to both you?
Are you considering running for political office?
Sheriff?
Well, you know, we definitely need a new governor, and we could use a new sheriff, and I don't know, we might need to replace the county commissioners too. And, you know, I don't know.
Sure.
I could probably do the brand inspector's job.
Mr. Bundy,
Yes.
if the Clark County Sheriff's Department continues with their current stance, if the state of Nevada
But what is our
continues,
current
if
stance?
the state of Nevada continues to recognize this land as federal public land, are you saying that there is another chance of another armed standoff happening in the region?
Can I say it was the feds that did the standoff? They come barred the way. It wasn't the Americans that come out there by the thousands, let me add. By the thousands that came to stand in the gap.
Yeah, let me correct you on one thing. It wasn't a standoff. This standoff was a media thing.
That's right.
Where was the standoff?
It was a peaceful protest.
It was a protest, and who was we protesting?
The lack of due process.
Protesting the county sheriff.
There were guns being pointed.
Yeah, by all the federal authorities.
Federal Army.
They were pointing guns at us.
We went through a court and we found out there was nobody pointing the guns at it. And you bring it up, their guns pointing at it. Well, yeah, they were guns. I'm saying there was 200 guns pointing at the people.
Who had the
200
kill
guns pointing at them.
Dan Love had the kill book. Dan Love of the BLM.
They threatened we the people's lives. And the county sheriff should have made sure that didn't happen. They beat up my sister. They tased my sons. They killed my cattle. They threw my sister to the ground.
They buried the cattle in the high desert where they think we wouldn't find them.
Show up there to ask
Remember the kill list.
By Dan Love, BLM.
But remember, my son, I want to tell you a little story about my son Dave. My son Dave has been my partner ever since he was a little baby. He's like a little bear. He wanted to hang on. I took him with me. He rode on that horse with me. He rode on the tractor with me. He would climb on the back of my horse when he was 2 or 3 years old, and I'd put him on the boot, or his fingers in my belt loops, and he would hang on, and I'd take the little boy off, and his little fingers, the skin on his fingers would come off, because he hung on so hard while I was trying to work cattle. He would always get back on that horse and ride with me. My son, the day of, I don't know about the 6th of April 6th, 2014, my son had a job. He was going to Boulder City, I believe, or Laughlin. He had a job that he was going to be an airline pilot to fly the sea tours up the Colorado River. It was a new job for him. He was excited to be able to take that job. And he was on his way from his home up in Utah to go to Laughlin. He knew it was his mother's birthday. He stopped in somewhere, St. George or somewhere, and brought a card and a bouquet of flowers. And when he come down I-15, he pulled into the ranch and he gave his mother the flowers and the card. And they said, well, you know, the BLM is out there gathering down cattle. And so he rode up the road about 4 or 5 miles to sort of see what was going on. He stopped along the road, got his iPod out. There was some convoy of BLM people bringing cattle off the mountain. And the BLM and the Highway Patrol, they see him there, and they come and attacked him, and they beat his face into the gravel. There's the documents of it that put their feet on his head and pushed him in the gravel, and when they come up, he had rocks stuck in his face. They put handcuffs on him and put him in their vehicle and took him over to the compound where they'd been collecting my cattle, which is probably about 6-7 miles away from where he's at. and they displayed him like they just shot a nice big buck deer. They was showing him off, their trophy.
Got a Bundy.
And then they left him out of there for several hours, and they took him over to Henderson, put him in the jail over to Henderson. The next morning, they picked him up and brought him to the courthouse here in Las Vegas. And my son told me, he said, Dad, he said, I thought my life was over. He said they'd abused me until I thought that they was going to kill me. They put me in this courthouse, and he said they left me there and interrogated me and carried on. And then he said all of a sudden things just changed. He said they took the handcuffs off me, brought me a little sack lunch, and opened the door and kicked me out on Las Vegas Boulevard. He walked down the street. He didn't have no money, but he did have a credit card in his wallet. He said he didn't have nothing to make a phone call, so he went up to a lady that was buying gas and said, I'll buy your gas if you'll let me use your phone. He used the phone and called me. I have been right here at this sheriff's office that morning. I was on my way home. And he called me, he told me where he was on Pickett Storch in Las Vegas Boulevard. And so I come back. When I got back, the media was there. I don't know whether it was Channel 8 or 13 was already there. He was, sort of beat up. This is how the government treated my little boy. They only was going to just give his mom some flowers. And you guys think I'm supposed to just love what happened? I just spent 700 days in their damn jail. I'm a little bit upset about that sometimes. Now I've got to make the decision whether I'm going to be bitter the rest of my life, whether I'm going to forgive them. But one thing for sure, I'm going to go back and ranch. I'm going to produce you people some more food, and I'm going to fight for your freedom and liberty to come out on your land and enjoy your land. Amen. Amen. Amen.
How many people here in the media understand that in 2002, Gloria Navarro with her husband Brian Rutledge conspired with Harry Reid and Rory Reid behind the Goldview National Monument in Clark County?
I don't know. I just know that we still have our land. It's still Clark County, Nevada land, and we love our land, and we're going to use our land, and we're going to enjoy it. Let me just make one little more point here. You know, I ranch on the east side of Lake Mead. There's approximately about 110 miles of where the air, straight airplane shoreline. But you know, there's over 400 miles of shoreline that should be being enjoyed by we the people. You know how much of that shoreline that you have access to today? How much do you think you have out of the 400? A mile? 400 miles.
A mile?
You do not have 1 mile. You can't even get to it unless you walk to it to have 1 foot. Now you can ride your boat across there. But let me tell you something. I ranch along that lake. That lake used to have lots of boats. It used to have lots of houseboats. It used to have skiers. It used to have campers along the bank. They used to have bonfires, and they used to fish at night. There was beautiful beaches there, sandy beaches that they picnicked and enjoyed swimming and whatever. And you know what happens now? I spend days I've been in jail for 2 years, but I spent days along that lake. And I would see maybe 2 little boats out on that lake, probably some older people fishing, just 2 little boats, no campers, no motor or fish or houseboats, no access to the lake.
Why is
that's your public land. That's your national recreation land. Lake Mead National Recreation Land. No people. Why? Because they're tired of going down there to the federal courthouse and paying tickets.
They charge you $20
ruined your picnic.
Just to drive to North Shore Road, they charge you $20.
They have ruined your picnic. Why do you think Bundy said disarm them and tear down the entrance into the port? Because we want access to our lands, and We don't have it.
Give the state back their land.
Hey, I thank you, media. I thank you. I want to tell America that I love you. I think this is the greatest land in the world. I think it has a lot of promises for the future. I think we have a great future. Nevada has so many resources and so much land. And you know, you go up through Nevada and you travel from Las Vegas to Reno, and you know, you go up through a depressed world. You come to these little towns, and you can see they used to thrive. And what do you have? You got a ghost town. It's not even a ghost town anymore. It's just a junk town. You know, that's not what Nevada. These little towns need to be thriving. We need to be enjoying this land. We need to be using it. And that's what Bundy stands for.
Thank you, Mr. Bundy. Thank you, Mr. Bundy. The black farmers, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I've gotten to know him in the last 4 years. This is one of the finest people, if not the finest person I've met. And his family is the same way. I've grown to love these people. They're here for you. They're here for the people of Clark County, United States. You have to thank him for what he's done.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. God bless you, Larry.
The United States government is attacking us in all areas. So
How do we go see the sheriff?
He won't let us.
Did you hear? Did you hear?
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. We just got finished with Cliven Bundy's press conference, his speech here, telling us why he was here, why he stood out there at the when he did back there in 2014, and why he doesn't owe the grazing fees to the federal grazing fees to the federal government, the Bureau of Land Management. The sheriff refused to come out and talk to him. He was too busy today, so the sheriff was not available and refused to come out here and talk to him. We had quite a few people out here. There's close to 100 people, a lot of media, and a lot of supporters that came out. Today it's not raining. Yesterday it was pouring down rain, so we ended up postponing the outside event yesterday till today. So, love you, Ricky Loveland. I see quite a few people on here. Kaylee Willis, Daryl Wayne. Thanks for joining us, and we're going to be heading back to Montana sometime today and wrapping it up down here for this time. We'll keep you posted as much as we can because we don't know what the outcome of this next trial, if we're even going to have one yet. We're praying that we don't for Joe O'Shaughnessy, Jason Woods, Dave Bundy, and Mel Bundy. So keep us all in your prayers. We got a lot of work ahead of us yet. This isn't over. We've got other cases around the country. We still got baby homes that them people need help. That family hasn't had their baby in over a year, almost a year and a half now. And so there's all kinds of work for us. I'm not stopping. I'll be continuing this, trying to expose this corruption and be the voice for the people who cannot speak up. Again, keep us in your prayers. Yeah, free Todd Engel for sure. Greg Burleson, the Hammonds. There's so much injustice that's been done that we cannot give up at this point. We got to keep fighting for these guys. We got Jason Patrick sitting in prison, waiting on sentencing yet. We got Ryan Payne that's going back to prison. He has to turn himself in over in Portland to the federal marshals. He's going to go back into custody because of Judge Brown being mad at him. We've got John Richheimer. He's got to turn himself in 2 days to start serving his prison sentence. All these men, all these good people need your support. And Jerry DeLumas, again, thanks, Mark. So many names, I forget people sometimes on here trying to come up with them all, but there are a lot of names that of people that need your support and prayers, your letters. Send letters to these people. Go to these pages that people have set up. I'll try to do that again the next couple of days, give you addresses, ways to support these families. We also went over and seen the doctor, Dr. Henry Westenler this morning, and Dwayne Emmer, I thank you there. Wayne Emmer's riding his horse to prison. He needs all the support he can get. There's just so many people. Daryl Thorne. But we went over and seen the doctor this morning. I had my daughter. I'll have her step over here a minute. My daughter and I got to see, and the family went over and seen Henry and had a good chat with him. You want to talk and tell you a little bit about what you talked with him about?
We just asked him some questions about how he was released and all that kind of stuff. They did an appeal, and it's usually supposed to take a couple of years, but because of his age and health, they actually noticed it this time, so they let him out early until the appeal is
And you're going to write a blog, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll have a blog post, and it should be out the last Wednesday of this month.
So how can they find that blog post?
That's Keturah's Corner. Corner spelled with a K, so it's KETURAHSKORNER.blogspot.com.
So Keturah's Corner, she's going to have a story written. That's a blog post. I'll share it. There'll be other places that'll be shared. But I'm going to share that, and she's going to write another story about him. He has a birthday coming up, too. We don't want to forget that. What was that?
His birthday is on February 16th, and he'll be turning 94, and we're going to try to get a bunch of birthday cards together for him. I'll be putting an address on my blog post so that way you guys can write to him. We'll probably send them all to a post office of ours and then forward it on to him so he doesn't get any hate mail or anything.
Yeah, let's get him some birthday cards. He's going to turn 94 here in February, so that's be a big surprise for him. He enjoyed our visits this morning. He was just overwhelmed with having so many people support him and seeing him. I've also got a couple of books of Henry Wessler's that I got from him, and he signed them this morning. I'm going to get Henry. I'm going to give away these 2 books here sometime soon. So keep watching for that, and if anybody wants to read his books, you can go look at that book. What's the name of his book again, Keturah? 12 Hours, Facing 12 Hours to the Firing Squad. It's on Amazon, but we're going to give away a couple of his books that we got from him today and got his autograph on them. So thanks again for joining us, everyone. Keep us in your prayers. We have some other updates hopefully today, and we will keep up. Thank you.